Hey, welcome to the Runaways podcast. My name is Cody. We are back. We have 4 people. It has been a while since we've done that. And today we're going to talk about LL, and then we have a bunch of podcast questions to get to as well, since we're like, 2 weeks out from Chicago, I think?
Correct. Yep.
Sweet. So to join us back from his little vacation is going to be Lucas. You've had finals all week, right?
Mhm.
That's why you've been gone. I haven't seen you in the Discord. I haven't heard a word from you. You've barely even typed anything. But anyway, how's your week been?
It's been good. I've just been trying to relax. We had Portland, we have Chicago coming up. I have school ending now, so the last week or so, the last few days have just been me trying to relax and kind of catch up on myself. But yeah, I have finals this week, finals next week. I have testing for Chicago. I'm in this kind of weird state where after next week is over, after Chicago's done, I'll be done with school and there won't be any FAB events for a little bit. So I'll just be in this kind of not doing anything space. So it feels kind of weird to try super hard right now if I'm just gonna not do anything. like playing a lame duck CC format or an LL form a lame duck LL format after this event for ever is just I don't know. So I am going to Chicago and I'll do some work
I don't
for
know.
it. But
I think you should just approach it from the perspective of that means you really have to do all Chicago, because then you got like a month and a half to just stew about how bad it went and how much you wish you prepared more.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just don't have a super high drive to play LL right now as well. I know what I'm playing already. I don't know. The deck has some changes you can make to it, and there's different ways to build it. But I don't know. I'm gonna fucking reveal Earth, Ice, and Lightning, and that's just how it's gonna go. I don't know. I don't know what else to say.
Well, Lucas is depressing. Let's go talk to Noah. Noah, I know you had a skirmish this week. It was also your first time playing LL, or
Yeah, it was my
close
first
to it.
paper games of playing LL, and I had only tested the format for the week prior. Prior to that, I hadn't even put any mental energy into it.
So, as someone new to the format, and you weren't really around for most of these heroes, what do you think? How was your first weekend?
Yeah, the first games of FAB I played was actually during that PQ season where it was Starvo, Prism, and Chain.
And Viserai was for the PQ season.
And Viserai too, yeah. So yeah, I didn't have real cards at the time. I was like, this hero is way too busted, and then he LL'd before I decided I wanted to invest fully in the game. And now that I am and I can play the cards, I have quite the opposite attitude towards Lucas. I've been having a lot of fun revealing my Earth, Ice, and Lightning, and occasionally throwing a Starstruck or Spinal or Crippling, Oak and Old. Very satisfying cards to resolve when they're dominated and your opponent just has no agency. They lose cards or they can't play their turn. So that's very fun from my side of the table. And getting to play in the event was actually kind of funny. My round 1, I played against someone. It was a small skirmish, it was 11 people. My round 1, I played against someone who they said this was their first time playing FAB. So they rolled up. They had sleeves and everything. They had a real deck. I think it was cards they put together from the Azalea Armory deck. They were wearing, but they had some other pieces too. And they actually got me kind of nice on turn 2 with just I'm thinking they're calculating they got to move, but then they just activate Azalea. They don't have the hat that lets you opt or anything, and hit Stone Rain. And I was like, no, I wanted to fuse, but I'm losing a card. So yeah, but I think it was a fun intro to the game, and I hope they keep playing. And then I played against Lucas. You said this happens a lot when you play at the Battle Hardens at majors, where people will just show up with a CC deck.
Yeah.
So that was my round 2. Is basically I just played into CYB new, but they put in 3 more CYBs.
Yeah, it literally happens all the time.
Yeah.
People just love to just be I'm gonna play the same exact deck. I had 3 people next to me at Osaka in the Battle Hardened. Literally, it was 3 to 4 people that literally said this is just my CC deck. I'm Dio has +2 tomes and Zen has +3 Art of Wars, and it's the only change.
And it makes sense to get all the prep, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty close. For a lot of the deck.
That won't be the calling though. Because if you're going there, you're going to play LL.
So. Locals might still do that, but for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part, people will have their strategy. But I think there will be some bleed of that where people will be more incentivized to play heroes that they already play in CC, that they're more familiar with the play patterns.
Yeah.
But yeah, then after that, I played into 3 Starvos in a row. We went back to normal LL gaming.
Mhm.
And I learned a lot about like just little tips and tricks for how to do well in the mirror. Number one is get lucky and draw Awakening at just the right time when you just go below your opponent.
Mhm.
And then after that, draw into a natty double fused Oak and Old and somehow win a game that you have no business winning.
You see, that's actually how I got a statue.
Yeah.
Was doing that. I had 3 Awakenings, so I could play towards it a little bit more. But a lot of that event was like, well, you fused. Let's see. Oh, Awaken. Oh, we're great.
Yeah.
Oh, no Awakening. Okay, well, maybe this is a rough one.
Yeah, but I do think that the games are a little bit more nuanced than just, oh, I died on like turn 2 or turn 3. It can always happen, but I think there's a lot less of that than I had thought the format would be beforehand.
Yeah, I don't know about everybody else's experience. Mine is mostly from like Osaka and previously, but like it really feels like that happens almost. There's like 2 or 3 heroes that can do that, and every other game feels like actually super good. Like it just feels like good old fashioned Fab, except both of you are just doing things that are like a little broken.
I think they feel good until one of you casts Awakening, and then it feels like, why did I waste my time playing this game?
I think it depends on the Awakening spot, but yeah, a lot of the time that's how it feels.
Well, Dan, you've been playing some LL.
Yeah.
Also on Starvo, I believe.
Well, that's not where I started.
That's fine, but I see a pattern here. How was your week? How was your small skirmish?
Yeah, it was pretty good week. I spent a lot of time on LL this week. I was really trying to find a non-Starvo deck to play. And I, of course, started with Zen. And I just absolutely hate this deck in Living Legend. It's like, I don't know. It's like not enjoyable to win or lose. Like the way I play the deck is I'm going to do like absolutely nothing until I can deal 60 damage. And either that happens or it doesn't. And either way, we didn't really play Flesh and Blood. And if you try and play like a little more tame than that, I don't know. The deck's just like, it's not inconsistent. It's just like any games where you don't do the thing, it feels terrible to play the deck. And then the games where you do, your opponent just like hates you. So I got off that pretty quick. It also didn't seem good enough into Starvo. I tried some other decks. They didn't really seem that good to me. And then I finally gave in and played one Starvo game. And this deck is just absolutely ridiculous. Like I need to go on a mini rant later, but it's also a lot of fun. But like the new tools you got are just like absurd.
Yeah, the fact that you can draw 4 Earth cards and just like cream whatever your opponent was gonna do is like pretty ridiculous now.
Wait, how do you mean?
You just like have good Earth cards now. Like it's.
Oh, I
it's
see what you're
great.
saying. Yeah.
Like you have good Lightning cards. Like you can.
Yeah,
can
we're not fusing a throw on touch. We're throwing like.
Yeah, you can draw like
Yeah.
mono attribute
Disruption.
if it's ice or earth, and like still use your whole hand as well. You don't
or
have
lightning, or like lightning. You can draw like multiple lightning cards, but if you have like Earth cards, it's fine because the lightning cards are somersaults. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But somersault
like,
is the thing I need to rant on. Like, I just want to know, why did they make a restricted list and then print this card? Like, they restricted these like absurd disruption cards to 1 copy, and then they gave us access to 10 copies.
It seems like
And it plays out that way too. It's not even like, I mean, you're not going to cast it 10 times. But like, I played a game where I cast 4 Crippling Crush. You're only allowed to play 1 of those. I had a game where I cast the same Spinal in the same turn. Like, that's not right.
Yeah, it's just weird that they haven't printed any lightning attacks that cost 2 or more, but then they print this card that bounces attacks with 2 or more as a lightning card. I feel like if it can only target lightning or elemental cards, for example, or even, I don't know, I guess they can't really make it Runeblade since it's generic lightning, but some sort of balance.
I think they like, first of all, I think it's like twofold. I think first of all they kind of wanted to create the like, not necessarily archetype, but like the like way of playing where you're just playing the like stupid brutal assault tribal deck with somersaults. It's like a really bad CC deck that people are playing with like Aurora, but like in the future, just like having lightning heroes that can like just play 9 somersault is like your whole deck is kind of cute. But also I think that like red and yellow are pretty relevant for the formats, and they just like didn't want to design those in a different way from what they are. Like the blue just like has to be what it is because they want the red and yellows to be what they are. Also, maybe they just like care about Living Legend and they're like, yeah, Starvo needs another.
No, I think if they care about Living Legend, they like test these cards a little more, and maybe
I think they
give
just
them
don't
to
care.
Starvo.
Like
Yeah.
you just don't need to care.
It also does have some drawbacks. Like there was one game I played into Briar where my opening hand turn 0 is triple somersault and a winner's bite. And I'm like,
Oh yeah, I actually have a
attack.
picture. I have a picture on my phone of my friend drawing 3 somersaults and a Heaven's Claws against me.
Okay, at least it's a Heaven's Claws. Mine was Winter's Bite. Like I had
That's
no
not bad.
hope. My hand blocked too.
I do think the card's pretty cool, like in the mirror though, because like you're not just like pitch stacking and playing value like straight up. Now you also have to consider like I need to be getting 11 points out of each of my somersaults by getting like a
into
crippling or
fatigue
something back in
strategy
deck.
too. You don't even necessarily need to do like a full pitch stack if you just make sure that like I'm using somersault to like every time I cast this card, it's producing 11 more damage in my deck.
Yeah, that aspect I like a lot, but I don't know, it's just a little silly that they like restricted these cards and then they give
The
us
more I've
access
played with the
to
card, actually,
infinite copies.
the more tame I think it is, the more I've played with it. Just because you do have to build your deck in a certain way to
it does have like
attacks.
it has like infinite drawbacks. Like it's like a no block that only does something sometimes.
I'm not like calling for a ban or anything. I don't want you to get that impression. I just think it's a little goofy that they restricted cards and then gave us infinite copies. That's it.
I don't think it's unreasonable that they'll restrict it after.
I think Awakening has to go, and I also think Starvo will be the first hero banned from Living Legend and the only one.
Nah, they're never going to ban Starvo.
I don't think they're going to ban it. I mean, if they want to hit the hero, they'll just
They
ban
probably
Winter's Wail or Crown of Seeds or something. One of those 2 cards probably.
Sure.
Well, I think Awakening just has to go. This is like
sure.
not a fun card in any way.
I do agree with the Awakening assessment. That is
like every deck I
card.
tested to try and not play Starvo. I'm like, oh, this is working. Like I can beat this deck, and then they cast Awakening and get 20 value from their one card. I'm like, I don't.
Yeah,
What's the point?
I think the most likely timeline for them hitting Starvo outside of just like continuing to be like restrict Somersault, ban Awakening, like small hits. The only thing that they would do is like a hero like their first like actual hero specific ban on like Crown. I think Crown or Winter's Wail would be like the 2 biggest ones, but it could be like anything.
I don't think they should hit Crown. I think they should hit Somersault if they're doing hero specific.
Restricted. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think they should hero restrict Somersault first, probably.
Just like Starvo is not allowed to play Electromagnetic Somersault.
Yeah. I at least hope that it wasn't intended that we would be playing this card in Starvo when they designed it.
I mean, I think they definitely knew it would see some play. I don't know if they realized quite how many copies everybody would be playing or like quite how good they are, but
yeah, that's fair.
Sure. Meanwhile, in my world, I'm just playing Chain. I am locked in for the calling. I'm probably the only person on the team who's playing Chain because Chain is not very good. But
yeah,
I'm hoping to be convinced. I'm definitely willing to jump ship.
I tried to play other decks and I can play them, and then I pick up Chain and I'm like, I can really play this deck. Like to the point where like I feel like I get more. I get some percentage points back just because of the fact that I have probably legitimately 1,000 games on the deck, in different variations, and then also I just have a lot of fun playing it. And when was the last time I got to play in a semi-serious tournament with my favorite deck of all time? And it's been forever, so I am bringing it. With that said, I have accepted the fact that I'm probably not winning this event, but I don't win any events, so what does it matter? So I think I can. I'm allowed to bring Chain, but it's been fun. I mean, I just flip coins against a bunch of decks, and then sometimes I get there, and sometimes I don't. But Starvo's scary, and other decks are scary. You know what's not scary? Kano. If I could sit down and just play Kano all day long with my Boomer Chain deck, it'd be so easy. I top 100% of the time. It'd be great.
Dude, that's like a lot of decks right now. You just like sit down against Kano, it's like, oh, great, sweet.
But we'll see.
This is going to be a challenge.
Maybe I can cook up some RuneGate list that gets there. I'm not 100% sure if it ends up happening because sometimes the deck just doesn't work. Like legitimately, you'll just draw hands and you'll be like, well, there are 3 things in my banish zone, and my hand is all attacks. I guess.
Specifically, it's all like red 3-cost attacks. And they're on or below rate.
Yeah, and then your banish zone's like, well, I guess I'm screwed. Like, sometimes that happens and you still win the game.
Yeah,
and then you play Boomer Chain and it's smooth. It's just so nice.
It's smooth, but you don't get to go like 30, 30, 30, 30, 30. Oh, you're dead. You're dead by Shackle 6 and you're fatiguing me. Like
the RuneGate high roll is pretty sick. The RuneGate low roll is pretty sick. Like you just like draw up, you're like, oh, I have all these ways to make rune chants, and then you're like, I'm gonna banish 4 cards. No RuneGate cards. I will deal 2 damage this turn.
Hey, you
So-
make like 5 root hits, it pass.
And then you're like, that's even wrong because like you need to save one of the cards so that you can swing twice next turn. So you're like, I will make 3 rune chants. I will tick up. I will pass. I will IP 2 cards.
Yeah. Dirge down, shackle up, go.
Yeah.
Broken. Best deck.
So that's a little sketchy to bring to a calling and be like, I need in all of my games to not have my deck fail.
I mean, every deck can fail.
Nothing fails quite like RuneGate Chain. Nothing succeeds quite like RuneGate Chain, though. So I don't know. We'll see what I'm playing. I'm playing one of the 2 versions, maybe a mixed version, whatever I can get to. But I've committed to Chain. That's all I'm going to play and figure out. And I will go alone. I'm just like in our Discord typing up notes from my games. I'm like, this is what I found out. Into the void of nobody.
No reaction.
no one cares, and I'm just like, that's fine. I'm just
care.
doing my job like a proper teammate of reporting on the things that I've tested into the void of Starvos.
I
The
care.
second
almost.
you tell me Boomer Chain is the play, I'm in.
Yeah, if
I'll
I would
never tell anyone to play Chain. It's so bad
would-
in this format.
I would play Chain if I thought it was good, but I don't think so. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. I want to play with RuneGate Chain because like when I play that deck, it does feel like I'm playing the best deck. But
Sometimes.
I don't. Yeah.
There's a lot of
I
those
don't know.
decks in this format.
Well, that's kind of
like-
every deck in the format. That's kind of the point, I think, for
Yeah.
the most part. If you don't feel like you're playing the best Flesh and Blood deck like ever, like what are you doing? like actually, I guess then you're playing Prism. That's what
Or you're just playing the deck you enjoy, right?
sure.
Yeah,
But then what are
Like
you doing? In
CYB
Prism.
full fatigue Oldhim.
the worst deck in the format.
I don't know. I have mixed feelings on that deck. That deck definitely has like auto win matchups.
I'm not even sure it does.
It has pretty good auto win
Yeah,
matchups. Like
Charles sent an
consistently.
interesting message to the Discord earlier that I agreed with. That
Yeah.
I feel like every deck in the format can just like put 3 sideboard cards in and then probably never lose. Like it's a little sketch.
You could always make that game be a tie.
Yeah, you can also just draw because that deck.
That's what I mean. You might not be able to win, but you can always make the game a tie by running the Drone of Brutality. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean
So-
you just like win. You just like win every game. I think. I like don't think that deck can beat that card, but
Well, yeah, you might run out of cards, and then you just block with them over and over again, right?
yeah, no, that's like I don't think
Yeah.
the Oldhim deck has enough damage to actually beat 2 drones and a drone. Like
But
block
surely we just
4.
play 4 at that point, so we can.
No, you just play 3. You just
Swing
block
our
with 2 of
hammer.
them and throw one of them. You can also you keep an extra card to just keep pitching every turn, which can also be a drone if you want to block more, but you just like don't
Sure,
have
sure,
to.
But no one actually wins that, right? It's just a tie.
No, you go 6. You attack for 6.
Yeah,
Oh, you
if
play
you
red one.
if you have 3 drones,
Yeah, you have 3 drones.
you will win every time.
Yeah, you just. I'm pretty sure you just actually deterministically win almost like every. Like if you're a deck that has like a real amount of cards. Like if you're like Chain, whatever. But if you're like Starvo, you just like send your thing. They block. You get to close to the amount of cards in deck, and then you have drones. So they're
You heard it
probably.
here?
Can we just cast Pulverize 10 times instead?
Yeah, you can also
Isn't
figure
that
out
good
other
enough?
ways to win. I'm just saying, like the Oldhim deck sucks. That's my whole point. That deck's just like stone cold unplayable. 'Cause, like,
I mean, it does also just fold over to Prism and Kano,
yeah.
just like a 0% win rate into that.
Well, and then like every other matchup also sucks. You're just like hoping they don't know what they're doing and they like stumble into a loss. Like I played against that deck at the Battle Harden in Osaka. I like literally gave up on the game on like turn 2. Like I like basically conceded. I stopped trying, and then I made like 40 misplays. And then on the last turn of the game, I made like one final misplay to lose. If I like brain fart and put like the right card on top of my deck instead of the wrong card, I would have won. Like, and I was literally just like not even trying. I'm just like doing shit. Like I was taking game actions.
Yeah, I don't know what was wrong with you before that game. You literally came up, you're like, I don't think I can beat this match. And I was
Dude,
like,
well, that's what
and I was
everyone
like,
saying. Well, because
but I was like,
had
but
so
this
many
seems
people
fine for
telling
you.
me-
You have so much extra value before that game.
I was just like thinking.
And then you came back after
Hey,
the
you
game,
just
you're
put
like,
the crayons
I
next
just
to
gave
the
up.
other color crayons, and then you
Yeah.
drop them later, right?
Yeah.
I just like I don't know. Because I talked to like 4 or 5 people and they were like, yeah, I tested the Oldhim deck. I just like don't think you can ever lose to Starvo. And I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, that kind of makes sense. Like they really don't have to take damage. Like surely they fatigue me because they're
Dude,
the
so many
fatigue
people
deck,
say
right?
they can't lose to Starvo. Like
Yeah.
none of them are correct.
But you legitimately came up to me before your match and you told me this.
I
and
came up
said,
to everyone, dude. I was like,
and I said, I
"If
don't
Brody
believe
doesn't
you.
win, I'm going home."
Yeah,
Like,
I said, I don't believe you at all. Like, you get so much extra value and you get the pitch stack. Like, I'm pretty sure you just win this game like almost every time. And you're like, I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, it was rough. I definitely should have won, but whatever.
Well, I'm
Who
excited
would've
to see what
thought-
people bring to Chicago.
Yeah.
Because I'm not
you know,
really
the-
looking to innovate. I'm like just gonna play cookie cutter Starvo or chain when Cody convinces me. But there's probably like a
I'm
sick
not-
Lexi build out there, right?
I don't think Lexi's good enough. I've actually been doing a little bit of play with Lexi. I think that Starvo is just like miserable. Like, I just think that matchup sucks. Like, so
Viscerai's
like
good though, right?
Viscerai's good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
Viscerai's gotta be
Viscerai,
good.
Zen, and Starvo are probably like the 3 decks to beat.
I don't think Zen really is.
I think Zen's just like, he has so many games.
He's
and
gonna
just, like,
beat you, but he's not. I kind of hate that this deck exists.
Yeah, I don't think it's like necessarily a very good tournament choice, but I think like its win percentage, like, you don't really have very many decisions, and I don't think that you have a whole lot of like opportunity to like deck build super interestingly or play super well. But
Yep.
like, I think its win percentage is that of a deck to beat.
Yeah, that's my main issue with the deck. Like Artivore existing just like restricts everything else you can play in the deck.
Yeah, like I
Which is
feel
why
like
I
as
like
an-
current CC Zen so much because it's gone. We could play like Wax and silly
Yeah.
DBX.
yeah, my expectation for Chicago is like a Zen will top 8, a Viscerai will top 8, at least 2 or 3 Starvos will, and then the rest I don't know.
There'll be a Kano.
Sure,
I don't
yeah,
think
there'll be
so.
like
Kano's
I
really
I think-
weak.
I think there'll be a Kano.
I mean, Kano's been weak for like 3 years in every format, and he still
The-
wins half the
Well,
battle.
he didn't seem weak, I think, before the ban. Like post
But-
Rosetta.
But before the ban, he won the last. He won the last event as well.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you about that one.
I think the
Dude,
Kano's.
it's literally just like Kano is terrible, but he will continue to do well in events because when you look at the top card of your deck and it's Tome of Aetherwind, and then you look at the top part of your deck again and it's Aether Wildfire, you just win. Like, it doesn't matter how good the deck is supposed to be. Like, sometimes you activate the guy and you see the thing and boom. Like, it just doesn't matter.
I still think we're going to see 8 Starvo in top 8. I like believe that even more now. This deck
I
is
don't
just like
think it-
so sturdy.
No, I think Viscerai's very good.
I think all of the Kano mains are going to show up, and one of them is going to top.
Oh, I also think there's like some other good decks in the format.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people too who are like closet LL enjoyers who have
Yeah.
been like brewing stuff that will come out with like something
Yeah.
spicy,
Yeah, I
like
wanna
you were
see
saying.
Briars.
Lexi is like
There's a lot of CYB
there's like crazy
nonsense.
Briar stuff you can do too.
Yeah, there's Briar's stuff. There's a lot of CYB nonsense that's like better than it should be. Because fucking, of course there is.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone breaks the format again. Like if
Yeah.
someone finds something else that people have missed, and this is like one of the best opportunities for that to happen. Like,
Yeah.
the Verdance was, in my mind, wasn't breaking the format.
Yeah,
Almost
that
everyone was-
obvious.
Everyone was aware of this going into it. At least that I talked to in our circles.
There are some other decks that I have seen that are contenders for breaking the format. They have problems, but I think if you can overcome those problems, it's there are some decks that are ridiculous.
Yeah, I would agree. I think if someone shows up and surprises everyone, this would be the tournament to do it at. When people finally start looking at it, because I think a lot of people are just going to default to what they feel comfortable with, or default to like Starvo, for example, because Starvo is like obviously good. The Kano players will play Kano. The Prism players are probably crying a little bit, but like
I mean, you
They'll-
can play.
they're going to
Prism.
play
I mean,
Prism.
they all think they're like 80% into Starvo, so it just like doesn't.
I mean, I thought they were favored into Starvo before Starvo got all his tools, but
Yeah, I
with
think-
all
I
his
think-
tools, it's so
Yeah, I
so
think-
much harder now.
I think they were ahead when he had like 40 of the cards in his current deck, but I
Yeah.
think the fact that their 60 is the same,
Yeah.
and we got 20 new ones, and all of our new ones are like good in general and are like insanely good against Prism. Like we got boots that do all 3 things that the boots we were playing before did. Like there were 3 options before, and we got boots that literally do all of them. It's like, oh, I want to block, but I need 2 action points. Sometimes you need a B because I'm merciful, and it's like they gave you all of them in the same shit. It's crazy,
Yeah, the like Starvo treatment has been kind of absurd lately.
dude. It's awesome.
I still can't get over them unbanning a card before we even test this format where he gets like
I mean, to be
200
fair,
new cards.
to be fair, they unban like a shitter.
No,
The
dude,
only, like,
that card
cool
is
part about
so
that
big
card-
for the Zen matchup.
Yeah,
Oh,
and it's really.
I think
cool
without
with-
that card, I might be testing Zen still.
Oh, I forgot about Zen.
Yeah,
Noah,
the
what
cards
was
is
that?
like, nah, you don't play
I
that
was
game.
saying, it's also really cool with Somersault too, because we haven't talked enough about that card.
Well, it's like good with Somersault.
How is
if
it cool
your
with Somersault?
5-card hand
Wait, you
is
don't know,
like
Dan?
Starstruck card
Are you
that
just playing it
Somersault can
back to
target
back?
plus
Yeah, you know, you have
Somersault plus
you have
blue plus Spinal.
2 blues.
You
a
have to have like
Starstruck.
you have to have 5 card. Oh,
No, you only need 4.
oh you're saying just to do the normal block 2 bounce it? Yeah.
Yeah, like if you're just like playing a
Yeah.
efficient rate, you just block a blue in the Starstruck, make
Oh, I
them
see
a
what you're
surge,
saying.
get them
Yeah,
back. That's the Starstruck. It's like pretty hot.
I thought you were talking about the cute.
Oh,
like,
I'd rather just
final play.
pitch the card I blocked with to cast it and then pick it back up and then cast it next turn.
Depends on the spot, man.
Yeah,
True.
but like blocking 6 is pretty cool.
Unity. You got
Yeah,
to
Time
abuse
Walk
the
is also
Unity.
cool, no?
Yeah, sometimes you get to double Unity too.
I mean, if you have Bazinga, you say no blocks, but if you don't have
Yeah.
Bazinga, like
Sure.
Yes, that is Starvo.
Yeah,
I
Star
do
Wars gross.
find it funny he got a set and a half and then got
Yeah.
cards unbanned.
Yeah.
So I agree with Dan on this one. As a
Well,
chain player,
why not just
I
unban
would-
don't
everything
forget-
at this
don't
point?
forget,
Like, you
he-
gave a Somersault.
don't
Let us at
forget,
least like
he-
make bad deck building decisions.
They also moved Mastery Pack Guardian's release date. There was a timeline where Starvo got Rosetta, then a calling, then a set for his whole class, like 2 months.
Don't forget his Armory deck.
and the Armory deck. Oh my god!
That's why I said set and a half.
I mean, to be fair, the Armory deck's like it's like a stretch to call it a half of a set. It's like
It is
kind
100%
of a
half
big
of a
deal.
set. Yeah,
There's like a few cards.
but those are kind of big
Yeah,
deal
but a
cards.
few cards that went into a deck that has the biggest
think-
card pool in the game. Like, that's crazy that they made the cut.
Yeah, the gloves are a pretty sizable upgrade to gloves we had currently.
Sure, yeah.
And the 3 block ice card
There's
is like
2 3 block ice cards.
yeah, kind of a big deal.
Maybe
They're okay.
They
it's a
block for
powerful.
3, and they're ice.
Yeah, but you
Yeah,
don't
but
like
they don't say
they don't
attack.
make the cut every time. You can't target Frozen to Death with Electromagnetic Somersault.
Yeah.
Which other 2 block ice cards can be targeted with Electromagnetic Somersault.
But it is scary that Frozen to Death exists. Like, you can't just be willy-nilly blocking with important equipment, letting
Yeah.
it get -1 counters and then potentially getting blown up.
Well, sometimes it just doesn't matter because you just give it to them. You put the -1 on them for them, but yeah.
Yeah,
Expose the
well, I'm saying
elements.
if you're Starvo, like, you don't have a way of like putting a -1.
You have expose the elements.
Oh, sure. Yeah, if you're going like full. I guess that is
Well,
in
I
the
mean,
Earl deck, huh? That is what
Yeah, I
else.
mean that's a 2 card combo that just like blows up any equipment. Like, oh, this
It's like a
matchup's
5-card
hard.
combo, but sure.
No,
Like, you
it's,
have to pitch, you have to
Sure,
fuse
sure.
twice. Like, yeah.
I mean like 2 specific cards.
Sure.
Like not that hard. It's very easy to do.
Yeah.
You can do it by like turn 2 pretty easily.
Okay.
Can you?
So, what about ball lightning?
Yes.
Isn't ball lightning pretty spicy?
Yeah, Ball Lightning is sick.
It's a legal card.
That's cool.
You can register it.
I know you guys are high on Starvo, but like these other decks are actually
Yeah,
pretty
I was
good.
watching some of the coverage. I think it was from Geneva. They had it was either Geneva or Stockholm, I forget. But they had an LL PQ Plus, I think, where there was an Aurora who was on stream a bunch of times doing like Ball Lightning stuff, and it looked like not that impressive, to be honest.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Because the thing is, you could just like block, and then it stops a
Yeah.
lot of the damage.
Yeah, it's just because you can go like Arc Lightning, Tome, Ball Lightning 4 wide, and it's like pretty good. If you have Flicker Wisp, it's like also like pretty good. But
Yeah.
I don't know. You could just like do that with a bunch of decks.
Yeah,
You-
like
if
that's
you-
my thing with Starve. Like, all
It's
these
just
decks are
then,
trying to set
like-
up these like hard to line up combos that you draw like 30% of your games, and Starve is just like, I just
Yeah,
do
my
the same
combo
thing
is,
every game, and it's unbeatable.
yeah, my combo is Earth plus Ice plus Lightning.
It's like, oh, I drew bad. I'm gonna lose this game. Oh wait, I drew Awakening. It was never close. Like,
And also, like, the whole Arc Lightning, Ball Lightning thing is just Mordretide. Like, Viscera
Yeah,
has
no.
been doing that like forever.
Agree. I'm not saying it's broken. I'm just saying that's
You
what
don't
it
have to play like blue Ball Lightning in your deck.
I could see a world where Viscera is actually the best deck, though. I could buy
Yeah.
that. I just
Yeah.
don't know how to play him, so I'm not gonna do that.
I think Viscera is really good. I played 3, I think, Viscerais in Osaka, and those games were all really close, and they were all really good.
I'm surprised, Noah, you're not touching Viscera at all.
Yeah,
Wow.
I just
That's
don't like the
that's
way you
honestly
have
a
to
big
play
reason
him
why I
when you
didn't
play
even
well.
look at it. Sorry, Noah.
Yeah, he was like the first thing I looked at, but all the like styles to build him, whether you're building like the belittle style or like full stack style, or just like hoping that you
You're
draw
surprised.
Sonata at some point when you've like reveled or something to get value out of it. I don't know. Just
And
none
hoping
of
to
the
hit.
play styles appeal to me.
Yeah. Like you're just like always kind of praying, I think, with Viserai. I think like it's just like a little bit frustrating to play sometimes when like your win con in a lot of matchups is like Sonata, reveal 8 cards.
Yeah,
Like
preach.
it's kind of
Yeah, I mean, I got the card for my CC deck because I hated the variance of it, and LL it matters way more because like you're sacking your whole chest to pray for it.
I tried to make Sonata chain, but it didn't work. I tried very hard.
I built skill out of chain.
There are probably like 4 chain decks that I built, played a couple of games on our FAB and then immediately deleted because like no one's allowed to look at this deck. Like I even labeled some of them. Please don't look. This is shit. And
Oh, I definitely have my own private account, by the way. That's where my shitter decks go.
no,
And then it takes a second before they get ported to the main account.
I played
I'm sure
played a
you
couple of
could-
games. I was embarrassed by the functionality of the deck and just immediately deleted it. Like no, there's
I'm sure
no
if you
record of
go
this.
through the dredges of the Team Fabry, you could find some Lucas decks that are less than spectacular to look at. I've had some pretty bad shitters in the past.
I was trying to play like all of the Vincent cards,
Yep.
make the tokens,
Yep.
then play the Blood Debt tome to draw
Yep.
one card. And I was like, it was like 6 tomes. It's just the worst pile of cards you've ever seen in a chain deck. And I was like, surely I could make this work. And then I was like, this is
if it's
terrible.
Shackle 4 and you hit exactly 2 cards, you can draw a card. Or
Yeah.
you could just be on Shackle 4 and hit any attack and also draw a card without having to work on it.
Yeah. The thing is like it's almost playable if you could deal damage to yourself. If there's like a way to just ping yourself at
Yeah.
the beginning, but you can't play the cards as instants because you can't deal damage because you're stacking, and so it's just like terrible. Oh, speaking of stacking Florian's a real deck, right? That
deck is very good. I think that deck is really, really good into some matchups. It's obviously like it's a setup deck, so like you're going to lose to every Prism you play against. You're probably going to lose to every Kano. Zen is hard, right? I mean, they just get out fast and they can kill you, but CYB is really powerful. The Starvo matchup is weird. There's just like there's so many things that both sides can do. Like sometimes it's like the Starvo like kills your Scaletta, but then it's like I've seen games where you go like smack to reality, kill like 20 rune chance, okay, frozen to death, kill your Scaletta, and then they just like still combo you because like they have CYB and they have like infinite life. So I think that deck's probably like truly good into Starvo, but I don't know. It's just like you're sacking a bunch of other matchups, and Viserai is probably not great matchup either. But who knows? Maybe that deck's broken. It's definitely real.
For sure. Noah, you mentioned the belittle Viserai deck.
Mm-hmm.
Surely that's kind of memey, right? Like I played against one.
I'm pretty sure that's what Hamilton played.
Like, yeah, but like 3 belittles, right? Not 9 belittles.
I think he was on 6. I could be wrong.
Because I've been playing on Talishar, and occasionally I just run into a Viserai that has 9 belittles. And I'm like, this is surely a joke deck, right? Like this is not a real deck. Like I am beating it with chain. This is surely not a good deck, right?
I think Belittle in Viserai is actually really good. I played it in CC like forever ago while it was legal, and like a lot of people would like clown on it. But like I do think that Belittle Viserai is like a good deck.
One of the problems is a lot of your like more powerful attacks are not even targets for Minnowism or Belittle. So you have to play some like awkwardly bad cards.
Yeah, you have like I think enough. I think the biggest problem with the deck is actually that like Viserai's typically best like lines are red line or are like smooth off of a blue, like Rattlebones plus weapon. So like the belittle costing 1 can just be like a little bit weird. It's like a 1 cost like 6 go again that like triggers your hero ability, but like you're losing a lot of that value because you're just not using your resources efficiently. You like end up like spending a whole card on your Thorn, basically because you just like play like a 1 card.
Yeah, you're either like wasting a resource or spending a
card. It's just like a little bit awkward for like what you have to do with the deck. But it is really powerful. It's just like good rate cards. It helps your consistency. But
But there's no shot where blue belittle is and
I
yellow
don't know.
belittle
It's
and red belittle is supposed to be
no.
the same deck.
If you think about blue belittle, it's like a 1-for-4 with go again at blue that turns your hero. Like the blue is broken. The problem is just like you can't resolve like 4 belittles for red. So it gets like a little clunky. But like the blue is like blue belittle is one of the best blues in the game. It's just like you just like have reds and yellows right there. So it's like hard.
Sure. All I know is like I match it to them, smush it, they do quick rematch, smush it again, they leave. I'm just like this. I don't know if this is real, but I won a game as chains, so
Yeah, I think the like real belittle thing is that it's like good into like heavy ice decks, but I don't think those are very good in LL right now, so it doesn't matter. Like if like Icelander and Lexia were better, I could see belittle Viscerai being like a good deck.
No, were you going to say something about?
Yeah, I was just gonna say like the problem with blue belittle as well is in order to play belittle, you're typically wanting to have a 4-card hand, at minimum a 3-card hand, which means like you're keeping cards to cast a blue belittle, which is just like
I don't know. I think
bad considering what Cody was saying before that, or maybe you were saying this. You only have 3 reds to search. It's like you're spending your blue belittle on like a basically just to get an at rate turn. Like you're turning your belittle into leg tap. And that's kind of like a bad use of your limited red minimalisms.
It's like leg tap that turns Viscerai on, right? At blue. So I think
you know what else turns on Viscerai? Viscerai cards. I don't understand this argument of like turn on Viscerai. Yeah, you can just play Viscerai cards. Like
it's just like an extra value. Like it's 1-for-4 go again, but you play it on attack. So you just like don't like everything else for the rest of the turn is turned on. Like the first like having a card be a non-attack is like +1 value most of the time.
I don't know. I think people do a lot of like copium Viscerai math where like the first card they play is +1, then they also count like
it's
+1.
That's why I don't. It's not like a 1-for-5 go again. It's just like it's a 1-for-4 go again that is a non-attack. So like you know, it is the asterisk at the top.
Yeah,
it's like 1-for-4 non-attack action.
I don't know. Every time I play belittle, I'm searching for a blue, so that's all I associate belittle with. It's like resources, which is great. Okay. Anything else on LL?
I missed the old format.
Oh yeah. The format before was perfect.
Almost. Zen was just way out of place.
That format sucked. What?
The format was great. I don't know. Prism have a chance at all? We didn't really touch on Prism a ton. I think it's in a pretty bad spot personally.
Yeah, Starvo getting new cards is rough. Like that if you thought that matchup was comfy before, maybe you can play her, but I don't think it was comfy before. I think you were maybe ahead barely, but like now it's just like seems.
What's the problem now?
They just like have so many more like good cards. Like their deck is just better. Like they have Greaves. They have like Somersault is good in that matchup because getting to recycle your big threats is like a big deal. Also, you can block Heralds and like Metamorphs without popping them, which can matter. Like if they get a passing out or just like play Metamorphs, like a big deal a lot of the time in that matchup was that they could play things like Metamorph and just like your health would just sink because you couldn't really do anything about it. But Somersault potentially letting you block with some cards on those can be a big deal. Although a lot of your Somersault targets are also poppers, so it can be awkward. And then also just like I don't know, just like Starvo being better, even if the cards aren't like super impactful in the matchup necessarily, like just like the few points you get from like instead of opening with a break ground, you open with a fruits and you start at 42. And it's just like all these small things that are just like
yeah,
it makes sense. I've been saying he like 4x in power.
So they're taking way more chip damage as they're trying to make a board.
Yeah. Fruits. I think fruits is actually a big deal. Fruits is that card's crazy too. Oh, there's so much broken shit.
It is very good. Cool. Okay, let's go on to podcast questions. These questions are asked by premium members of our Discord. If you'd like to be able to ask questions on the podcast or currently vote on the next deck tech that we are going to be making for our premium Discord, see all the decks that we put in there, which is currently like our Viscerai and our Zen with sideboard notes, and whatever wins this month's vote, which should close in the next couple of days, and I think Jarl is leading right now. Feel free to join in the link below. So first question here from Rinzo says, how much time would you need to become good with a new hero? And how do you start training it?
I hope the answer is like 2 weeks or less for my sake at Chicago.
I think.
I mean, it depends on your starting point, right? Like, has
Depends,
someone
yeah.
already worked on it, all that stuff?
Yeah, like building a new hero, like building Jarl, as if you like have never played like Oldhim and you're playing Jarl now and you like don't have anybody else's deck list to go on, it's probably going to take you a while to figure it out. But if you're building like Zen with our sideboard notes and having played ninjas before, and like actually I guess that's like not a big deal, but just like if you have like been playing the game a lot and you like play against Zen a lot and you kind of understand the play patterns, then it's probably pretty easy to pick up a hero. Where I would start is go ahead.
It depends on what we're talking about by like become good. Are you talking about like 100%? Are you talking about
ready.
Worlds quality? What
No,
tournament?
like calling, I guess.
Okay, calling ready. So let's clarify that then. Yes, calling ready, I agree. A well-built deck with a sideboard, a couple of weeks, as long as your fundamentals are good, is perfectly acceptable. Worlds level requires infinite more time.
How would you define
5%?
What's the difference in skill level between calling and Worlds? I'm kind of curious. Like when you go to a calling, do you just like?
No, it's like how prepared you're willing to be. Like the stakes are lower, right? So you're not gonna like
Right.
you might
But, like,
sacrifice less things to get ready.
Okay.
Well, what I mean is, I am willing to be less ready for a calling than I would be a Worlds. I think saying if you picked up our deck and played it for 2 weeks, you would be good at the deck is good for a calling. Sure. Good for Worlds. I disagree because helmet chest usage is incredibly difficult. It takes a long time to learn properly. And I don't even know if we know all the spots to do it correctly because we are constantly talking about it still. So like, how good do you want to be as good? I still think we're missing several percentage points of win in the actual Zen list, and we have prepped for Worlds for it. So like, where do you put the bar as good?
Yep.
That's why I was trying to clarify. What do you mean by good? Like, you're an expert at it. You're good enough to go top a calling, because good enough to top a calling, I can agree with a couple of weeks and a good list.
I think I know my numbers pretty well. If I'm like starting from scratch and working alone, I need at least 4 weeks. Like 4 weeks is like the bar to be like, okay, I can play this at an event. And if I have notes or like a starting point, I need 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think it also depends
to be like I can play this at an event.
It depends on how much time you're devoting in that 2 weeks. If it's like an hour a day, then it's going to be much longer. But if you're willing to spend 4 hours at night, like just grinding out
no, that's right. So 2
I
weeks
think
would be like
I think it also
40 hours.
It also depends on the person. Like I like do a lot less testing than pretty much everybody else I know who I think is like gets as prepared as I am for these events. Like my testing is like very like focused on like thinking through things, less so than just like getting a million reps. But for some people, it's like a lot more important for them to get a lot of reps and analyze afterwards. So for those people, it'll probably take longer. Like for me, I've historically found that it's pretty easy for me. If I like actually try to pick up a deck, it's pretty easy for me to pick it up in a couple weeks. I just like have to expend a lot of mental energy thinking about the deck and like thinking about the matchups and going through things and watching gameplay. But it doesn't actually take as long as it might for some other people. So I would say I would seek to answer that question for myself. To whoever asked that, I would try and find out for yourself like what works best for you. And the second part of that question is like where should I start? I would recommend like familiarizing yourself with the normal play patterns of a deck is pretty important, I think. And the easiest way to do that is usually by watching games. Just like one thing about the Zen deck is like this might be obvious to some people, but like Chase the Tail plus Aspect of Tiger Body is like cards that you're often trying to combine together. And when you're like a true beginner on a deck, those kinds of things can be not necessarily super obvious, but if you see somebody play Zen and throughout a game, every time they cast a Chase or an Aspect, it's combined with the other, you can kind of get those maybe obvious lines down pretty quickly. And you can just like kind of learn the little tips and tricks along the way, which I think is pretty valuable. Does anybody else have anything else? Because I actually think the second part of that question is the important part. The first part is, I think, more personal.
Yeah, you brought up an interesting thought for me. The reason I feel like I need a lot of reps on a deck is the very similar situations that come up where you're at some point in the game and you're making a decision if I'm blocking and trying again later, or I'm blocking with some part of my hand and trying again, or if I need to go with this hand. And it happens in various different matchups. And I need the actual rep of doing that typically to figure it out. I'm not able to, I guess, theoretically figure it out how it actually is supposed to work if the push or pull, because like I guess I don't know the odds of like how often they have functional hands that punish me here. And so I kind of need to do it a bunch.
Yeah, I'm like the opposite. I like
like
even when I know the answer from experience and like I have something that I agree on, I always like will default to what like feels right in the spot, like what I think theoretically makes the most sense.
For
Yeah,
me,
I
reps
just
is
use-
also like
use
it
feeling.
lets you develop muscle memory, at least for me. So like knowing those spots, you don't have to be thinking about that. So then I can actually like get creative with my lines and find like
Yeah.
alternative things to do.
Well, yeah, I feel like
once
when
you,
I
like,
have that
awaken-
part down, I'm able to then focus on other aspects of the game
Right.
where it's like table, pitch stack tracking. Like I
My
can
opponent's,
start
like,
doing all these
mannerisms.
things. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can start doing all those other
There's-
things because
Yep.
this part is I already know what to do. It also, I think, helps my feelings of the game, because I still play by feeling sometimes, where it's like, do I feel like I'm ahead? Do I feel like I'm behind? How far do I feel like I'm ahead or behind? So I have to
every
make these
round in-
decisions.
Every
And-
round in Portland, you walked up to me and you were like, "I know I'm supposed to do it this way, but I did it this way, and it worked
Exactly.
out." And I won.
But I had all of the experience of being in both situations where now my feelings work properly. I can't just like, I'm not Hamilton, and I'm not, I guess, you, because Hamilton does this very well. Like, it's one of the reasons why I think he's so good at the game, and he can pick up a deck a week before Worlds and then top with it, like new. But like, I have to be in the spot over and over again, and then my feelings work what I think is like my strength. But if I don't put myself in those situations to be able to understand both, I can't trust my feelings when it gets to the day of. And like at the calling, I could just trust everything I was doing because I had all the experience.
I think it's I don't know if any of you guys watch or read One Piece, but I think it's like akin to like awakening your devil fruit. Like you understand your powers and you like know everything you can do, but then there's like a moment where it just kind of clicks and you start being able to like meander, and you kind of just like have this like subconscious understanding of a matchup. And I think that's always very satisfying. For me, it usually comes at like the end of an event when I've played it like for stakes a lot. But it can come in testing pretty naturally. I remember like Lexi Oldhim for PT3 as like my favorite example, where like Gordy and I played like 100 games of that matchup, and then I just like breezed through every single Oldhim opponent I played against. Like I didn't even feel like I was thinking. Like I was just like Molly. Like I was like fatiguing them up 25 life with 20 cards in deck every game. And I feel like you can do that through repetition a lot easier, and through just like feeling, like literally just like feeling the flow. Like you just go ultra instinct. Like I know it sounds kind of goofy, like to people who think of the game in like a very pragmatic way, but like honestly, this game I think can be played in so many different ways that like once you like, I think there's so many different correct lines with a lot of spots that I feel like if you just play it enough and you kind of have a good understanding, you'll be able to like kind of feel the flow and just go with it.
My perspective too is that
Fudo.
I really enjoy going through like the training arc before, where I'm getting like beat up infinitely and like seeing all the scenarios where my deck shits itself, or I like made an error that caused me to lose, and just like going through all the ways I can possibly lose. And then when I draw a hand that's similar to the hand that I had in testing that caused me to lose, I now then realize, okay, here's how I can play this better.
Yeah, like I lost because I blocked too much here. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I lost because like I arsenaled this dubious card, and then it got stuck in my arsenal, and then it like clunked up my next hands, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Cool. What did you have for the second part of this question?
That was the whole second part.
There were two parts.
Yeah, the second part was the second part was what how should you start learning a new deck, which is what we've been talking about.
Okay. Perfect. Next question here from Subtle Panda, also known as Michael Feng. What was your favorite card released this year? And if time permits, why?
What are the sets? What sets released this year?
Rosetta, Misfail, heavy hitters.
And then the armory decks.
Sure, the armory decks. If your favorite card is in the armory deck, that would be surprising.
I don't know. I mean,
okay, Dan, go.
Okay. It might also be the same as Michael's favorite. I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's Cosmic Awakening. I just really like having a strong, reliable anti-fatigue strat in every deck I play. Like I pretty much won't play a deck if it doesn't have that. But this card was also kind of cool when it came out. Like it was like this kind of meme looking 20 damage turn where like I think the people were pretty split, like thinking it's a real card, and the other half saying like no, it attacks for 20. Surely this is a meme.
Turns out it's just broken.
But it's like we've talked about it before, but it's not just a way to beat fatigue. It also changes the way you get to play the entire game. Because like if it's on your deck, which I played at Armory on Monday, and I played against my friend Joe on Bolton, which he always plays. And today, for some reason, he flipped a Great Axe, which he never does. So I cut all my Cosmics. So when they're not in the deck, you have to be like really, really disciplined with your resources. I think I swung, or I failed to find on Zen like 12 times, and I had combo cards in the deck the whole time. It just like entirely changes the way you play the game. Where if you're playing Cosmic, you get to just like dump all your combo cards because they're in the way of your actual game plan. So I like that a lot.
That's a good one.
Okay, I can go next. I think mine is Scowling Fleshbag came out this year, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite card. I just like the mind games that are in play when that card's on the table. Your opponent just not knowing when you're going to use it, but always having to respect the fact you could use it at any point is just like such a cool thing to happen on a card that doesn't actually generate advantage, right? Like if your opponent plays around it effectively, you essentially just like did nothing. Like you just played a block 2 hat. But there's also some times where the card's worth like 11 value if you can time it right. So I just really enjoy the like IRL aspect of trying to read my opponent to determine whether like they're respecting bag or they have some plan to dodge it, or they're just like, okay, whatever, I'll get it off the table at this point. That's like the Cody logic, I remember.
It's also
I
like it'll be like worth 11 value, but like your opponent takes like 4 lines that were 2 points worse throughout the game to play around it.
Yeah,
it's just like it's just like
it's amazing. Yeah,
that's why I don't do that.
Yep.
I just give it to you. Like, are you going to do it here? And then I never have to worry about it. If you don't do it, I get my full value. So it's like, I guess it also depends how close the matchup is.
It's like
I think it's one of the
like
best like there. It's one of the best like card gamey kind of cards, right? Where like this is an effect that exists in a card game where there's some element of randomness, but also some element of you're engineering a situation where any outcome is good for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Got one, Lucas?
Yeah, I have a few. I'll give 2. I have a recency bias one, and I have a just like I like this card. Felling of the Crown is one of my favorite cards that they've ever printed. I think it's one of the cooler broken cards that we've seen in this game. And I think it is pretty good design for a card that's just like absolutely ridiculous. Like it is like one of the best cards in the game. It's like not close. Like by itself, it does so much. It attacks for so much damage and disrupts them and is good value and advances your game plan in the Earth Heroes. Like the card is broken, but it doesn't have the book problem most of the time where it causes like unreasonable offensive advantage, and you have to build your way in a certain way to make it good, and you have to complete a quest to make it like really good. And I also just really enjoy playing the Earth Heroes and that kind of play style where you get to be flexible and you get to have broken cards. My other answer, the recency bias answer would be Summit, the Unforgiving. That's Jarl's weapon. That card's just sweet. I just love the play patterns that card makes at the end of the game.
The play pattern of it collecting dust on the board because you never attack with it.
No. I think the like end game spot that Jarl like aims to create is super interesting. Where like at the end of the game, your deck is all just like very powerful blue ice cards, and you get to do this like you'll play like a Winter's Bite and then pitch 2 cards to swing Summit, and you just like probably time walk them for like any reasonable amount, and you're also consistently doing damage. Getting to keep channels around for multiple turns, I think, is really cool. And I think the heavy mechanic is really interesting as a way to like, because like swinging it for 4 is like a thing. Like that happens. Like it sucks, right? But like it does a thing, and like it can be relevant sometimes. Like Winter's Wail for 2 cards is playable in some spots. And just like the Frostbite, but having the really powerful Frostbite be like restricted. I really like the design. I think it's cool that you get to play a shield and you get to play a big fat weapon. I just like it. It's also just like satisfying. Like you're just like throwing a pole arm at somebody, pitching
Yeah.
like 2 cards to swing your weapon is like.
I like the aesthetic. I just wish they costed like 4 or 5. So there was at least
Yeah, I think
No,
it's
I'm
like,
with Lucas here. I think it's satisfying because you also spend the early game like destroying all of their stuff, right? Like they
Yeah.
don't get equipment value either.
yeah,
I think it
it's
looks cool. I hope it wins.
I think it's like
our pulse
it's like
cycle
definitely
kind of.
not broken, right? Like it's like not an above average weapon. Like I would say it's like slightly, it's like pretty low power, but I think the spots where it does its thing are like kind of like they fly under the radar. But like the fact that you have this like weapon that is like actually a whole turn is like so cool, because we haven't really seen that before for the most part, of like a weapon that attacks for like more than 1 card can block and has text, that I can think of. And I think it's just like really cool that you have this like, it feels like you're playing a card when you're swinging the weapon, which kind of makes the deck feel really cool, where you just have this like card that you can play whenever you want. Whereas like other weapons just feel like the thing you do in addition to the rest of your deck. I don't know. I just like it. It's also just cool. It's just a cool weapon. I like it.
Okay. Mine would be Coalescence for Enigma. I like being able to take all of my counters, move them onto one thing, and then play the mini game of keep this alive and try and make as many spectral shields as possible. This is like everything I like about playing those classes. That is not really how you use the card. It is now, it's basically just a combo finisher on a turn. But when it first came out and when you were playing like a really defensive build, you were like maximizing value, and there were game plans around certain matchups to be able to like maximize how many shields you made from there, and that's how you turn the game. And I think anything that generates value like that is stuff that I enjoy playing. And I make spectral shields. I like making individual token spectral shields for everything. So I think that was my favorite card. Okay. Next from Mr. Ark asks, how do you deal with negative feelings surrounding losing in general? Well, you lose a lot. In my case, you lose at every tournament you ever go to. So you get used to it.
I think everybody loses at least once at every tournament.
Sure.
Well,
I mean, I lose the whole tournament every time.
You guys are
Some people actually finish the tournament by winning it. Someday I'll see what that feels like.
I don't buy it.
So we'll see. Anytime I go to a Calling Plus, I will just lose the event, which is fine. I don't know. I just get really salty. I'm not a good person to ask for this, because once I'm out of the tournament, like individual losses is like whatever. Like I can get annoyed by them, but like the tournament's not over. But like when the tournament's finished or I'm like knocked out, I just get salty for the rest of the night. I'm probably not very enjoyable to be around. So it's just how it be.
Yeah, I would say a good way to start is not by saying that you lost the tournament if you don't win. That's probably not a good mindset to adopt.
But that is the actual truth.
That's like probably not the best way to describe
if you're not
it.
First, you're last. You know,
Yeah,
that's how it works.
Not it at all. It's like not. That's not good. Don't do that. Does somebody else want to go?
I mean the one of the better ways to look at losses and what most competitive players do is you just look to learn from it, right? Like I'm with Cody. Like when I'm out of the event, I might be a little down and salty too, but any other loss, I'm just trying to figure out like what went wrong, what could I have done.
Yeah, okay. I want to make one caveat, because I used to do this at the beginning of trying to analyze my losses like super deep in a tournament. But I do think if you're just like hunting for things you could have done differently that may have caused you to win, you sometimes fall into the trap of like, okay, well, what if I did this differently? But then in the moment, it's just like an entirely unreasonable play to make. And you end up then casting more doubt onto future rounds.
Yeah, you need to evaluate correctly. I'm not saying don't incorrectly evaluate.
Yeah, no, that's why I want to clarify for people to make sure they're doing it correctly, not just like going over into the corner, like, okay, on this turn I did like this. Like, how could I have read his eyebrow twitch and like made a different play? You know?
Yeah. I'd say just like look for like a lesson or two. Not be like I would win if I do this. It's more like
all I was gonna say is that like you reflect on things that are actually helpful. And then everything else that was just unlucky, didn't go in your favor. Just memory of a goldfish, immediately forget about it and move on to the next game. Everything relevant, keep in your brain, but everything that can't help you and was just bad variance, then don't think about it anymore.
Yeah, and honestly, might even be best to not even think about it at all. Like, maybe do it Noah style, just like write notes of what happened that game, but don't think about it, and then go back later. I think for me, at least, that would be probably better.
Yeah. I found outside of like those kinds of things, I found throughout my years, I've been playing card games since I was 8. So like when I was young, I would get like very frustrated because I'm like 10 years old and losing. It's like it's really annoying. I've found that like a big part of it is like outside of trying to employ strategies that like allow your mental, like the way that you think about things to be lessened, like not thinking about mistakes you made at the table. One thing that I found really useful is just to try and like change my mindset on certain things. Like one thing that I do when I lose is I force myself to like smile and laugh it off. Like if you ever come up to me after a loss, like I'll often just be like, especially if it was a close game, I'll just be like at the table, like, what did I do? Like, oh my God, that was such a silly play. And then like 2 minutes later, you'll see me just like making sure that I'm just like laughing, whatever I'm doing, and I'm enjoying. Like, I find those are like the best time to listen to other people's bad beats because like most people don't really care about your bad beats, but it's like part of the card game player like community to like say the bad beats to each other. And
Unless your name's Dan, and then they actively hurt your mental for some reason.
Yeah, please don't talk to me out of it.
Yeah, but it's just like I think
About
making sure that you're like remembering kind of what's happening. Like you're at a card game tournament, you're with your friends, you're probably having fun before you lost. You had an unfortunate loss, but that's okay. On to the next one, and just like try to make sure that you're like jovial and just like having a good time. I think too many people get caught up, and I see too many people at events just like not having fun after losses. And I think those are the people that don't do well at events. And I think that it's like a really easy way to like nosedive. Like the amount of time, like we all know the like classic like Pablo Pintor, you start off 0-2 and win the tournament thing. But like seriously, like he wouldn't do that if he was pissed going into round 3 and like screaming and like being rude to his opponent because he's salty. Like that's not how you win tournaments. That's not how you do well. Like if you're over here being like if your problem is that you're like very salty and that you get very frustrated very easy, I think it's important to try and fix that if you can, and try to have strategies that fix that rather than just being like, well, it is what it is. Let's just try to, figure out what I did wrong and move on to the next one. I think like making sure that you maintain a positive attitude is very important because the people who decide that they lose the tournament once they go X2 on day 1 are the people who don't who don't stay X2.
Yeah, I want to answer that. Like, I think your perspective matters a lot in that spot. Yeah. Like, if your goal is to top 8 a major, you have to go X3, right? So it doesn't matter if you lose the first 2 rounds. Like, if you're going to top a major, you have to win like 7 to 8 rounds in a row at some point. Mm-hmm. It literally doesn't matter, like, your early losses. They don't mean anything. Like, you can extract a lesson if you want, but whatever.
Yeah, it just
in terms of like winning the event, it actually just doesn't matter. It
just makes the rest of your tournament easier.
Yeah.
Like submarining is real. Like the event gets easier once you're not playing against the undefeated decks.
Yeah. I mean, I'll clarify. If I'm still live for top 8, I think I take losses amazingly well. Like I like how I take it. As soon as I am not live for top 8, I implode all the games afterwards. And I've been actively trying to fix that. But every single time it's like I usually get knocked out of top 8 like the second to last round. I have never lost a bubble in any game I've ever played. If I'm on the bubble, I always win. And if the game before the bubble is the one I always lose for some reason. So like if I win that one, I know I top almost every time. But as soon as I'm out of top 8 contention, the chances of me losing the next several games are incredibly high. I'll just punt away the rest of my dollars after that. And that's the part that I've actively been trying to fix. I would like to not have to fix that problem and just top, but you lose a lot of EV if you just like are in the money and then punch out of the money. So that is something that needs to be fixed. Okay. Next here from Cusco asks, if you could port any card or effect from another card game into FAB, what would it be and what does it do?
Noah, what's the Yu-Gi-Oh card that turns both players' decks face up?
Convulsion of Nature. Why did you go for that of all the cards, dude? Just like a completely useless meme card.
No, I think it'd be cool in FAB. I think sacrificing value to gain information is really interesting. Like Seduce Secrets is like a good example, but I think it'd be cool if it was like you play a card, it's like a 0 cost action, and it's like for the next 2 turns you look at their hand. But like you can have it where their decks face up. That's obviously like kind of stupid.
Yeah, I could actually see that having a spot where like people play blue Sift. You could just like play this card instead.
Yeah.
It's just like a blue block 3 non-attack with Go Again that has some niche effect. But this
I
would
wasn't
be
even
like
saying-
complete
I wasn't
shambles.
even saying go again, but
Oh,
you could design it however you want, right? But that effect, that's what I think that'd be a cool effect. Like sacrificing literal actual card value to gain information, I think is like really interesting in FAB. Because like a lot of the time it's like really valuable. Like your opponent sees you, if you like know they don't have pummel, it's like if your best line is probably to block 10, but you then get this like extra information that you're 100% sure they don't have pummel, that's like actual value that you can gain. I think that's really interesting. Like against new, like imagine how much value you gain from like actually knowing their full hand every turn. Like that's kind of crazy.
But you can just like look at them and then know their full hand. You don't need a card.
Sure. Yeah, I mean it's just Noah Bagelman. That's the card effect.
Of course.
It's just like
It's so much better than it was in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because like at least when you played it in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like they still had other cards that you didn't know about. But since we like recycle cards every turn and they have to draw them one at a time, it would be like, I know that one, and now I know that one, and now I know that one, and now I know that one. You're just playing like a dumb aggro deck, so like it doesn't matter if they know what you have in your hand. You're just like playing Zen. You're like, I don't care if you know what I have. Like,
yeah,
funny.
I don't have a good answer for this one.
Yeah, I don't want other card game effects.
Oh, okay.
I like Flesh and Blood.
I have a good answer. It's honestly like one of the reasons I was like, oh, I want to get on the pod today just to talk about this. More Yu-Gi-Oh nonsense. But like my favorite part about Yu-Gi-Oh, the only like redeeming factor I think, is the extra deck, where like you can just convert like nonsense stuff on your board into like cards with uniquely situational effects. I don't know how this would manifest in FAB. If it would be,
I think it would be a hero. I think that would be
sounds
the
like
cool,
chaos.
like a hero. I think it could be chaos. Yeah, like a hero with an inventory of things that you.
Yeah,
can do.
exactly. Yeah. Like if some board state condition is achieved, then you like invoke the chaos and you get to like do some effect based on the situation.
Yeah, and you like become a different hero. Maybe is like what this new hero could be.
Yeah, I just like those like kind of like mini game style things, but also with the player agency of like I'm going to tap into this once per game toolbox of like I want this effect based on the game state.
Yeah.
Cool. Millen asks, what would be a good idea for team format other than sealed?
Well, they did that one tournament where it was like 3 different formats, right? It was like LL, CC, and Blitz.
Oh yeah, that's an old Magic thing. Magic had that for their I believe it was the 75th Pro Tour, and it's like the best Pro Tour I've ever watched. I loved it. Yeah. I think that'd be sweet. I think currently it would be a little dubious because Blitz isn't super supported. But I think if we had either a third format in the future, or I always thought it would be cool to have like a hybrid limited CC event where you have like a team event where it's like LL, CC, and then if we have like an actually good and balanced sealed format, then you could have like
I think Rosetta is good and balanced.
Sure, I like hero wise. I think you could just have it be whatever, but I think it'd be cool to have like the 3 people all work on a sealed pool and then have one person play it. I think that'd be really interesting. And like the other 2 people are just like playing CC and L.
Yeah, I think
literally every format works though for team stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I think Team Sealed's a little bit of a joke right now until in some formats where you
it's just not balanced. Yeah,
where you just cannibalize.
Oh yeah, the
one whole
baubles,
deck.
The bauble strat just needs to be banned. Like you just have to say that cracked baubles can't be played in. See, I think there's a million different ways to do it. If you guys are curious watching, there's a strategy in Team Sealed where it doesn't necessarily have to include crack baubles, but you basically just like sacrifice one of your decks to the gods. So like in Bright Lights, for example, you just like have a Dio deck that's like 20 crack baubles and 10 nonsense cards, and then the Teklo deck gets to be 45 cards and the Max deck gets to be 45 cards. And then the idea is you just like hope to win your other 2 games because you have 2 juice decks, and it just like makes the game like it's like a real strategy in a lot of the Team Sealed formats, and it just makes it like completely unplayable. It's just like not fun.
Yep. So until they fix that, it would be very hard to do a Team Sealed, but just anything you could just do. CC.
Yeah, it's one Team CC.
You could do. You have to bring 5 decks. You get to vote off 2 decks, and then you play them. It doesn't matter. Just any team events, all of them.
Yeah, we love them.
Just make stuff up. Okay. Wardo77 asks, if a person wants to improve but does not have time to invest in grinding hundreds of games, is coaching a good option? Any recommendations?
I would probably keep an eye on your twitter.com for the next week or so and follow Lucas
Whatever
Oswald on
Lucas this is, I don't
Twitter
like
and
this Lucas very much.
Twitter and Blue Sky.
What-
Keep your eye out.
what
I think
is this TikTok
coaching,
Lucas that we just had there? That was
I think coaching is a good resource if you have the right coach. I don't want to go off on my own thing too much and like what I'm going to be trying to do, but I think as long as you understand your goal and you listen to people who are knowledgeable on how to achieve that goal, I think you're going to be in a good spot. My biggest thing that I think people do wrong is they either go into it with a loose goal or without a goal, and they're just like, I want to get better at the game, and that's just like their general thing. And it doesn't have to be I want to top 8 at calling. That doesn't have to be your goal, right? Your goal can be, I want to become a proficient Viserai player in 3 months. But like whatever your goal is, I think having a specific one and moving towards it with the guidance of whether that's better players or more experienced players or just people you trust, I think it's very important. Goal setting, I think, is the most underrated part of the game. And most of the time when I see people have goals, they do a lot better, or often they just achieve them with a reasonable pace. I know Dan had not necessarily a goal, but like a fire that he like ignites in himself when he has like a player that he wants to beat. And I think that's a really good example of like whatever works for you that gets you inspired to do something and gets you to be able to take concrete steps to achieve that goal is what's most important, because you don't want to get stuck in limbo where I'm trying to get better and I'm showing up and playing with my locals every week and playing my deck and then whatever they have for a couple games and then leaving. Like you're not really gaining anything out of that. But if you have like a very concrete goal, it's pretty easy, I think, to improve.
Yeah, if time's really tight, you just need to have a person or two that's well trusted that you can have review your gameplay, your deck lists, your decisions. If you don't have that, coaching's a good option to get that. I would probably just keep it that short. Like if your time's really tight, you probably just need someone you can trust who is also like in the know and is good at the game.
Oh, I think on a time crunch, coaching is actually one of the best resources if you have a good coach, because they're like literally just there. Like they are getting paid. It is like for all intents and purposes, like it's their job to help you get better.
They already did all the work. They know all like the shortcuts and they can just give you the answers.
Yeah.
Yep. I would also recommend getting good enough that you can then start thinking through things when you're not able to play the game. Because I think visualizing situations, walking through how the deck math, how would you play this hand, how would you operate, but being able to do all that mentally, like while you're doing other stuff where you can't play the game, I think helps kind of extend some of your training sessions outside of the time you should be allowed to practice.
This is why I don't sleep during like deck discovery, because I have to get to that point where I know what I'm playing, so that during my like downtime I can be thinking about how to get better at the deck or how to improve the deck.
I actually have like a little tangent on that. I think one of the things that people like don't do the most is they don't try and get better at the game consistently enough. Like they'll have their goal of like, I want to do X well at X event, and they'll kind of forget that like there's always going to be another event. You should be trying to get better at the game, and you should be trying to learn how to get better. And this is part of what I'm trying to do with coaching, is teach people how to get better at the game. But just in general, I think one of the very important things is like making sure that while you're getting better at the game, you should be ideally trying to get better at getting better, if that makes sense. Like you have to try and work on, how do I improve myself? How do I improve my game? How do I improve my matchups? Like Cody said, learning how to use the hypergeometric calculator, learning how to evaluate hands, learning how to deck build, learning how to figure out matchups, and learning how to test are really important. And making sure you're not just trying to get better or do well at X event is really important, because like we're all playing the same game. If you're trying to be here 2 years from now as a competitive player, there's always going to be another event. So it's like a much better use of your time to try to get better at the game than it is to just try and do well at X event.
Carnivore asks, outside of playing against each other on the team, what is the most productive way to improve, test, etc. that you've all found most effective?
To improve testing?
What is the most productive way to improve or test
Okay.
outside of just us playing against each other, because other people can't play against us.
Yeah. Every time that I sit down and I'm not with anyone we're playing, I can be like bouncing ideas off people, and I like break down the deck and do the math of like the ratios. Why
Yeah.
am I playing this card? What's my strategy for every single matchup that exists in the game? I like level up like 5x on my
Yeah.
ability or like skill with the deck. So do that. Like do the work, like do the actual thinking, break down every card in your deck if you need to, do the like value math on does this deserve a slot? Um
Yeah.
Things like that, I think.
It also helps if you have access to the cards in real life. I always find that like sitting with like the physical paper in front of me, being able to like separate cards into piles to define their function. How do I want my deck to look in a certain matchup? Like you were saying, Dan, like, okay, here's my 60 I'm presenting here. How does it just like, I don't know, drawing test hands and stuff, just like getting a feel for the types of hands in a like turbo sense. Since sometimes, you know, you play against opponents, you gotta like wait for them to tank for forever, like getting the rapid fire, just like, okay, what do the like I go through my entire deck in like 2 minutes, right? Just like, okay, what does this hand do? What does this hand do? What am I looking to set? How does it function if I block with a card, block with 2 cards, block with 3 cards, block my whole hand, etc. So yeah, not always possible if like you're theorizing a new deck, but whenever uh, you have access to cards and can like mess around with them in paper, I find that helps.
Yeah, I have a good
Yeah,
example for what I was saying too. Because like, you take our Zen deck that we played at Worlds. My first iteration of that, I played at ProQuest, and I just kept hitting these like failure points where my deck like just didn't function. Like I draw like 4 reds, they all cost 1, like things like this. So then as soon as I got home, I sat down for like 2 hours and I broke down the deck, and I realized my list was just objectively terrible because my ratios say that like every other game this is going to happen, and
Yeah.
that's just like
And then
you don't know that unless you do the math.
And then if we had a counter for every single time in the last week, Dan said the words, "You just can't do that. The ratios don't
Right.
work." We'd have like like actually
Yeah, you guys keep trying to
probably
not do the math and just like
probably 50
play
times
random
that
cards.
the amount of time somebody was like, "Well, we just cut this in this matchup and we play this card," and Dan's like, "No,
You
don't."
have to play
It was
29.
like so useful because we were all just like, "Okay," we just like believed him.
I mean, before the calling, I can't say this is why I topped the calling, but like before the calling, I just double check. I just redid all the math myself because like for Worlds, we were doing all these other things and learning drafts. So you just like presented the numbers, and I was just like, Dan knows this. I will just trust. But when I had more downtime after Worlds and after playing through the deck a bunch and wanting to make my own changes, I just sat down and did a bunch of math on what happens if you have all these different costs in your deck. And then I also did the math on like what is the actual best hands that we can ever draw that don't involve chi or involve chi, etc. Just as like a refresher. And I felt like just out of spending an hour doing that, I came out just like intrinsically knowing the deck better. And I just played it at Worlds. Like,
yeah, I think my like quick summation of what we're saying is like use the 10,000-foot view to look at your deck like a lot. Like when you're building a deck and when you're trying to improve and get better. And this is including just like getting better at the game as well. Just like make sure that you always keep like a holistic view of whatever is going on in your mind, because it's very easy to get like too caught up in like I want this for this matchup, and you'll get in these patterns where you're like, I need 3 cards for Enigma. I need 3 cards for Enigma. And then you're like, oh, 17% of the field. It's increasing my win percentage by 5%. Maybe I don't need 3 cards for Enigma. And just making sure that like you have like a general view of the whole deck and the whole situation always is like very important because people get caught up, and like testing can get inbred and things like that very, very quickly if you don't do that.
Yeah, it's
I have
really the
one
thought
more thing real
exercise that
quick.
matters.
Yeah,
I
one
get
more
to
thing real
like
quick too. It's
go ahead.
like when if you have a chance to do this question was about testing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If you have a chance to do testing, I always try to imagine in my head if I'm trying to debate between a card being like 2 other potential cards. Every time I draw the card, I imagine it's one of the 2 other cards in that spot and see like how my hand is changed. Like Dan was saying, it could be a card that costs 1 versus a card that costs 0. How much is this like affecting my turn? And I like play out the turn with all 3 of those possibilities in mind. So I'm like making my testing way more efficient time wise, where I don't have to play 3 separate games and hope I draw the card in one of the games. I just like imagine the card as the other 2.
You also just, when you do that, you find things that surprise you,
Mm-hmm.
which is very valuable. Like you find things that you're like, oh, these are like not that different, but one of them wins me this matchup by itself. Okay, well, easy answer.
I will say these types of like resources of like the tools that we use to do these things are kind of lacking in the community. Like there's no like YouTube video I can point to and be like, here's all the thought exercises that we do as professional flesh and blood
There
players.
might be soon.
Hey, we're making small steps now. They
Yeah.
can
Oh
go
yeah,
to
it's not a
an hour
complaint.
and
I'm just
15
saying like
minutes
I
into the
understand
video
why we
and
get these
learn.
questions pretty frequently because like no one's really got like the playbook published.
Yeah, that might exist soon.
Fighting Walloon asks, what are the qualities that make for a great team member?
Not getting frustrated when you lose and not only caring about winning and losing. Those are like my biggest two things. It's like not close. There have been people that I've tested with in the past who only try to win when they're testing. And I think those people are close to useless. And I think that people who get frustrated when they lose and who care about test games and like the win percentage, even if they don't necessarily get frustrated, but they just get too caught up in like win percentages and like if you're playing 10 games at a time, that's like not a real sample size. Like if you lose 7 games and you win 3 games, but all the games felt pretty good, like you might not be 30%. And so I think people who are able to deal with that mentally well is like the most important thing. I care about that like so ungodly much more than how good the teammates are. Like the people on the team who I think are the best players are not necessarily the people who I think are the best teammates. Not that everybody's not the best teammate I've ever had. Obviously, I have 18 perfect teammates and I love you all very much. But,
Yeah, I think a third point too that defines a great teammate is someone willing to not just debate for the sake of argument, but always challenge things as opposed to just thinking of them as like, oh, well, this is what everybody does. Why aren't you doing it like how everybody else does it? But actually have like some amount of original thought.
Yeah, I think we have a really good example of that. When it was the day before Worlds and we're all building the Zen deck, we're in Charles' hotel room and we have like the deck laid out on the table and Yuanji comes in and like he hasn't played like any Zen. He's like literally
Like
never
actual
tested
zero.
the deck. He's like actually not played the deck at all. And he comes in and he asks like 5 questions. And like from our POV, they're all like pretty obvious answers. We're like, that's not necessarily a stupid question, but it's just like we all like know the answer offhand. It's like it's pretty obvious. Like we don't do this because of this. But like it's important that he asks those, and then eventually he's like, "Isn't Flex Clause just like better than Betting
No.
Things?"
He says you should be playing Flex Clause. He doesn't.
Sure,
he
sure,
doesn't
sure.
ask.
Whatever he says.
He's like, this is
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, he's just like Flex Clause. He just like says the words, and that's like something that we hadn't thought before. Like he challenged what we were doing a lot of times, and it wasn't just like that specific card choice, but there was just like a lot of like small things. Like, do you really need this thing? Like, why do you need this? Because like I mentioned earlier, like people get caught up very easily, and so having somebody to kind of like bring you back to that big view, like, hold on, is this thing that we're doing actually right, is really important.
Yeah, Yuanji's pretty special in that way. Like I get to these decisions by doing all that math in like 2-3 hours of work. Yuanji just like sees it instantly.
Yeah,
he just skips that step.
Well, Andy's like willing to say it as well, which I think is a big deal. That's another good team quality is like not just challenging people, but just like being willing to like disagree is like a pretty big deal. Making sure that like your team dynamics don't get too like socially awkward is like a good, like, I don't know, just like if everybody is willing to talk to each other and is willing to challenge each other, I think that's a really good environment. Like there's nobody on the team who I'm not willing to speak up to, and there's nobody on the team who I'm like not willing to listen to.
I think these are all good points. Risu. I don't know. For some reason, my brain doesn't know how to pronounce that right now. Asks. Rius? Rius? I understand.
RIUS cool emoji.
Yeah.
That's the name.
It broke my brain. As professional tournament players, what do you wish judges did more?
Enforce
the
pace
rules.
Of play in top 8.
I wish the judges would go out to dinner with me more. They always decline my offer, and every time I go out to dinner with a judge, it's the best time. So judges, go out to dinner with me. That's all I ask.
I don't know. No. I think the judges are great. They do a great job.
Yeah, they do. They do a good job. Pace of play, but that I think has been rectified in most tournaments now.
I agree.
It's also
that I've been to.
It's up to judges' discretion for the most part. So it's like they're all going to do it differently because like they all view it differently.
Yep.
I have very positive experiences with pretty much every judge I interact with. At the policy level, I think a little more clarification on a couple things, but overall, I think it's all in a great spot.
Yeah, the only negative experiences I've had with judges in this game are like a few select judges that I think have done things wrong. But like, I don't think that that's like, I don't think there's anything that's, I think like judges need to do this better. Like, I love all the judges. All the judges are great. Like, some of my best friends in the community are the judges, and I see them in every event, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I would have had comments for this like a year ago. And we talked about it on the podcast like a year ago, like things that were good or bad. But like lately I've had like, it's all that stuff was just resolved. Like
Yeah.
Also the
Yeah.
game just got friendlier as well. So it
Yeah.
made a lot of these interactions go away because they just made policy changes that made this, a lot of the issues unnecessary.
Yeah, they nailed the intent of policy and they passed that on to the judges really well, is how I look at it.
And the judges did great.
Yeah. No complaints.
We stand all the judges.
Like, it used to be like, keep the boxes together. And now it's like, they kind of keep the boxes together. Like, it's, all of these things were resolved for the most part. So it's like,
I have one, like, it's not necessarily judges, but it's something that I think would be like cool to add to the game, where like, if you're playing a deck that has some like end game combo where it's like pretty complicated. Like, imagine you're doing like a Lexi pitch stack with like Codex of Inertia into like multiple 3 of a kinds,
Oh.
Ring Razors, whatever. Like, you're activating like Chain, right? Another one too. You're activating.
they
like 15,
applaud
16
after
cards.
you pull it off. Yeah, that'd be nice. I agree.
Yeah, they force all the people watching to give a round of applause. Yeah,
Aside.
that would be cool. No, but seriously, if there was a button that you could just say like, okay, we're about to go into time, but like, I'm either going to win or lose on this turn. So if I win on this turn, then I win. We're chilling. But I want to be able to concede if I lose, because it's not really fair to my opponent. But this turn is going to take so long that time is going to be called. I'm going to take an action. They won't actually be able to kill me, but I'll have like no deck, no way to win.
The way to fix that would just be to change the stupid concession rules and allow people to be concede after the game.
Yeah, it would be cool. You could just like some
it's like
flag with the judge, like, I'm prepared to concede if I don't win this turn. That would be like a cool thing you could do.
I mean,
like
that's just like changing the policy from. There are reasons, but I it's one of my least favorite policies. I just think you should be able to concede like whatever, like after the turn's over. It's a draw, but somebody concedes. I think you should just be allowed to do that.
I think the no talking thing has been mostly positive.
I don't know. It's been there. I've seen a lot of rough spots where people are in the position of it gets to a draw, and then somebody looks at the judge and they're like, "Well, if he has a blue in his hand, he wins. If he doesn't have a blue, I win. Can I ask him?" And then the judge is like, "No," and it's like that's what they're supposed to do, but like. That shit sucks. Like, it's not real. It's
I don't think it's like quite ideal, but I think the like pressure to concede has gone away, which is
I agree.
good.
I don't know. It's just I think it's always I always think it like I chuckle when they make the announcement. They're like, attention players are going into the last round. Just as a reminder, the only way to resolve games of Flesh and Blood is to play games of Flesh and Blood, and then you reach the time limit, and then you are no longer playing games of Flesh and Blood because you're not allowed to play Flesh and Blood. You just like sit there and you're like, I think I might have it. But I don't know because I don't know your hand, and it's just like you just like the rules are just fake. Like the time rules as they're written appear as though you're supposed to play out the turn, but you're actually just not. Like the time rules in Flesh and Blood are just not like what they say they are, in my opinion. Like they are end the game when time is called. That's it. It's just end the game, and it's usually a draw.
I like Noah's thought where they call time or time's about to be called and you're just like, judge, my turn's very complicated. If I do not win this turn, I would like to concede, and then you just
exactly. It's that simple.
Which you might be able to do that right now. Like, have you tried that?
No, you're not gonna.
No, because if time is called in the middle of your round and then you do another action because you're not finished with your like.
Yeah, but judges have discretion for a lot of things. Like if you call them before time.
It's because judges can't enforce that you do it, so judges can't enforce that you like are so
sure,
like
you're not legally allowed to concede, so they can. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, like when like judges can't enforce that you would concede. So if you don't concede, like if you win, there's no way for them to like
be like, oh, but you said that. Like, yeah, there's no
whatever.
Sure.
But I've done, I've just kind of done that on my own. This is obviously never actually needed to happen because we went to time, but they'll be like, I'm playing the aggro deck because obviously I play Channel Lunch, and then like, or even pass it with like Lexi, they're playing the fatigue deck, and we're very much identified our roles. And I'm like thinking, and they're just like, we got to make sure we don't go to time. I'm like, I'll just be like, look, if we go to time, I'm scooping. Like,
Oh yeah, me too.
I just straight up tell them, like,
Yeah,
I've
I
never
get
done
this.
that.
If I can't
going-
figure it out, that's fine.
like, I'm gonna figure out how to beat you, and then like, if we go to time, I'll just scoop, and they just go, okay, that's fine, take your time. I'm like, yeah,
That's
I'm
fine.
not saying
Yeah,
that works
I-
for everybody, but like, I'm fine. I'm comfortable doing that myself.
Yeah, I've never gone to time, so I've never had.
Yeah, I've only gone to time once, so
But like but the situation Cody's describing, it's like as the aggro player and your opponent's just blocking, you're like legitimately taking like 5 times as much time as them every round.
Yeah.
I also think it's not necessarily about going to time, but it's like if there's 2 minutes on the clock, I don't want to be like turbo speed moding through my play when I've like spent the past 50 minutes setting this up, and then I'm like, oh no, I have so much pressure. I have to make sure that I like finish before the time is called.
Yeah, because this rule currently, it creates the situation where like you're not like, people don't necessarily think less of you, but like it looks worse when you do play out your turn and you're just like short, and you're like, you just wasted everybody's time, but like you didn't know that going in. So it's like you're like incentivized by like societal norms almost. You're like pressured into playing faster because the only way you can concede is if you get it done in time.
Yeah. And you
Um,
might mess up your stack or mess up whatever you're trying to play.
yeah,
because
and then
you're
you fuck it up
playing
and you lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the optimal way is to always play it out, which means that there's going to be a shit ton of draws, which nobody wants because draws are awful in this game.
Well, moral of the story: don't go to time. Play faster. I don't know. Don't be afraid to ask your opponent to play faster.
Yeah.
I've only went to time one time, and then I recruited the player for the team. So
It appears that we've gone time.
we have definitely gone way over our time for this podcast. And Bazaar just dropped a new patch that I would like to go play. So goodbye, everybody. Thanks for enjoying the 4 of us. So goodbye.
Yeah, we're getting rid of the envelope
7
here, but
envelope
What we could do
in
here is go ahead
darkness.
and play the envelope.
All 3 pitches of envelope and darkness.